Welcome back to the Empowered Hour. This is John Harmon, founder, president, CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. Every Tuesday evening, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 1040 a.m. or WCHRAM.com. You'll find the Empowered Hour. We encourage you to go to AACCNJ.com. Back to our next guest, Peter McAliney. He is Director of Professional and Executive Education at Rutgers. And Peter is an amazing human being. And so, Peter, welcome to the Empowerment Hour this evening. We want to start with a little bit about you, where you're from. And forgive me, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I'm pressing through because this interview was important to us, and I didn't want to get a substitute. I wanted to do this myself today. So where are you from, Peter? A little bit about your family, your background.
Yeah, well, thanks, John. It's good speaking with you again. I hope you're feeling a little better. Yes, my name is Peter McAliney. I'm the Director of Professional Executive Education at Rutgers. So I was born and raised in Queens.
New Yorker. Okay.
New Yorker, yeah. Middle-class family. I'm going to say I had both working parents, but one of my parents, my father, went out the door to go to work, and my other parent, my mother, stayed at home and worked with 4 children, myself and my 3 brothers. Queens, as many of you may or may not know, is one of the most ethnically diverse counties in the country. So I had a nice introduction into what now has become much more of an ethnically diverse workplace, which I think I carry into the work that I do. But I am first-generation college student and got into higher education actually through a rather circuitous route. My mother, before she raised our family, was a one-room schoolhouse teacher, if you can believe that, up in rural Canada. So I guess I have education in my blood. But I kind of always knew I wanted to teach. But I knew when I graduated from college with an undergraduate degree, I really didn't have much to teach. All I had was a lot of book learning. So I went out and spent 25 to 30 years in the workforce. And then about the last 10 years or so, I've gotten into higher education, where I think I bring a nice blend of the academic perspective and the workplace perspective.
So Peter, let's talk about household of all boys. How did Mom navigate that?
Well, she was a one-room schoolhouse teacher, so she had some experience, and that was grades 1 through 12. So I think she had a fair bit of experience coming in, but she couldn't let us get too far off the leash.
Understood.
Otherwise, the momentum would probably overwhelm her.
I love that response. So, talk about some of the things you did leading up to, Rutgers Business School. Let's kind of give us the journey.
The journey. So the first stop on the journey was in investment banking.
Okay.
Was lucky enough to get into what was very popular in the early 80s, a management training program in information systems.
Okay.
And did that for a couple of years, learned the business of banking, and more importantly, got some foundational skills in the area of information technology and computers, which I've actually carried through my entire career through the journey from the mainframe to the midframe to the personal computer to blockchain to artificial intelligence. And, I just learned the language, John. And, so it's when I see these new developments, I'm able to kind of pick them up pretty quickly and know based on subsequent experiences in the workforce how to apply technology. But did that, and then I said, maybe it's time to get out of Dodge. And I moved out to San Francisco for 12 years.
Okay.
Where I worked for a management consulting company that was associated with Stanford University, Strategic Decisions Group, and learned more about the kind of the big picture of business. Obviously, I wasn't the guy running the projects when I started, so I learned from the bottom up. And after about 5 years of that, myself and a colleague, I guess I could say buddy, went out and started a PC a computer firm, a technology company. And our first foray was into the world of politics, where we took a PC-based, basically a database sorting system to help small political campaigns run their volunteer networks, file their forms for whether it was federal election commissions or California, the Fair Political Practices Commission, and then as well as take care of targeted mailings and such.
No, go ahead. This is a fascinating background, man. I'm just listening, and just taking notes here.
Well, the thing is, as you probably all know, politics is cyclical, and many politicians lose and don't pay their bills. So,
yes.
So we ended up in bankruptcy, and it was Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which in the bankruptcy code is the one where you get a second shot at things. We had about 30 investors. We felt that we had done as good a job as we could, but we felt we owed it to our investors. So we kind of took a step back, licked our wounds, and said, you know what, our kind of core competency here is database manipulation. And that was kind of our first foray into education. We got connected with the University of Texas in Austin, and we took a pencil and paper medical terminology course and automated it on the PC. Anybody knows anything about medical terminology, it's nothing more than prefixes, roots, and suffixes. And basically took our first shot at a graphical user interface and took the company out of bankruptcy with that and ended up selling the company.
What's interesting about your story is they say you find something you like, you never work a day in your life. And I recall when I entered college in the late 70s, early 80s, I'm sorry, they had those cards. Oh, man,
I know where you go with that one.
Binary, and I realized then that was not my lane. But
well, you might have me by a couple of years, John, because my very first course in college, I went to NYU as an undergraduate. I commuted.
Right.
But we were given our first computer program where we had to use the cards.
Yes.
Simple program. And they then turned around and they said, well, this is how it used to be. Now we have terminals. So I think if I'd gotten there a couple of years earlier, I may not have ended up where I ended up.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I guess I was too early. And I terminated my time very early after that. I think technology is fascinating, and those who adapt to it and be able to apply it in their own ways, they're transformational individuals. And the role that technology plays in society, it drives the conversation, it drives the economy, it drives the innovation, and it's so applicable in so many areas. So when I hear people talk about technology and their fascination with it, I look at them and say, these are some unique individuals.
Well, you talk about having the love of it. So when we say online education today, that's the coin of the realm. Everybody knows about online. So in our emergence from Chapter 11 in this medical terminology course, we developed an online course. Now, I'm not sure if all your listeners is going to appreciate what I'm about to say, but when we sent out our product to our customers, it went out on 14 3.5-inch floppy drives.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, wow. I remember that.
You're dating it. Well, you're already dating it.
Yes.
And we were just ecstatic when the CD-ROM came around.
Yes.
Because as you can imagine, the amount of space that was required to handle these files.
Right.
And then even more ecstatic when Netscape, again, for those listeners who may not be familiar with it, but one of the first browsers, Netscape, came around and kind of tapped the internet, we were more ecstatic. This educational. So I started to lay the groundwork for education when I was taking our company out of Chapter 11 with my partner.
Right.
And has really grown with online education. Today, obviously, it's very people are very familiar with it. But let me tell you, we were out there, blazing a trail with machetes and axes, getting through the forest, trying to convince people that it was a good way to go. Now, mind you, I wasn't an academic at that point, but I started, hanging around with academics, and I was starting to nurture that educational itch that I had when I left as an undergraduate and didn't know anything to teach anybody, and started to kind of marry the workplace, the professional life with where academia could go.
I think the investment banking environment also kind of gave you a way to navigate choppy waters at times.
That's an understatement, John. It's quite a whirlwind environment.
A lot of blocking and tackling over there, man. I mean, but hey, the great thing about it, the company chose a reconstruction route out of the bankruptcy and landed in a good place after you were able to restructure, reconstitute, and negotiate with creditors and give you another bite at the apple.
Yes, and that in and of itself. Again, we were a small company, so we didn't have squadrons of accountants and lawyers helping us. My buddy and I did it together. So my undergraduate business education, I had to go crack the accounting books and some of the other books because we had monthly reports that we had to file and we had to fill them out.
To our audience a little bit, describe your role there at Rutgers. What is it that you do there on a daily?
Sure. So the university has a mission to serve the community, and that is individuals, organizations, and government agencies. Traditionally, individuals would be going for master's degrees, bachelor's degree, doctorate degrees. But with the pace of change in technology, with the pace of change in globalization, just with the pace of change in general, the university recognized that continuing and lifelong learning are an important part of what our mission should be. So the programs that we run out of my particular unit, professional and executive education at Rutgers, are short-duration programs that are very skills-based that can directly apply to an individual who may either look for a promotion in their job, look for a new job, look for a new career switchers, that may have a degree already and don't need another degree, may not have a degree yet and may not be ready for a degree, or are at a point in their career where they're just looking to do something that is different and want to be able to show their current employer or potential employer that they're taking the time to invest in their future by taking a lifelong learning program.
Well, it sounds like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, some of the offerings are kind of customized, if you will, to the needs of the executive?
Well, we have two tracks, if you will.
Okay.
We serve individuals through either a corporate setting, an organizational setting, where we can come in and work with an organization in a particular skill-based area where they would assemble a group of individuals that are looking to get that skill, whether it's in Lean Six Sigma, project management.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence is starting to emerge, obviously. But another model that we've developed, recognizing that time is at a premium for many people.
Yes.
But we've developed something called the personal learning coach model. Some of your listeners may be familiar with an organization called Coursera or Udacity. These are programs that individuals online, self-paced, self-directed programs that people can take to get skills. But the challenge with those kinds of programs are something called human nature.
Okay.
And that is many people start them, they don't complete them.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've taken the core of an online, self-directed, self-paced program, and we've put into that model something called a personal learning coach who, and I know I can speak for myself, when I want to get fit, a personal trainer is somebody who's going to help me achieve my goals. Mm-hmm. So the personal learning coach will spend 4 or 5 hours over the course. A lot of our individual programs are run in 3-month durations, but they'll spend 4 or 5 hours over the course of the 3 months making sure the individual gets out of the program what they intended to get out of the program when they started it.
Now, is this structure different from others? And why did you guys, it seems obvious, but speak to, why did you take this approach?
Well, we recognize that we need to be able to meet people where they are.
Got it.
So, I recognize, and, traditionally, continuing education in general has recognized the classroom-based model or the cohort-based model.
Yes.
But we recognize that, that doesn't work for everybody.
Gotcha.
Especially with all the demands on people's time. And also, again, human nature. You go in with the best of intentions, but unless you have somebody there, it can be very lonely.
Yeah.
To have somebody there who's going to sit there and coach you, mentor you, somebody who's passionate about the skill that the particular short duration certificate is delivering, is somebody who's going to help you get over the finish line.
Can you speak to your target customers? I mean, to certain corporations in the area that might have taken you guys up on these offerings, and how has it gone for them?
Well, we work with three essential customer groups. One is the individual, which I think I described pretty aptly with the personal learning coach. But we also work with organizations that recognize, for example, I've just finished an article I wrote this morning, which I posted out on LinkedIn, but we hear of the reshoring of manufacturing here in the United States.
Okay.
So there is something called Lean Six Sigma, which is a quality or productivity type of toolkit. So, companies that are expanding their manufacturing here in the States want to be able to take advantage of, I call it a new old tool in the article I wrote, but, they want to get 5 or 6 people who are trained up in this so they can turn around and work on some particular issues and processes in their organization. And the return on investment of a program like that, I mean, we've seen a return on investments of 40 to 100%, times the investment. Because if you look at a process and it's broken, and the more people who are touching a process, the more places it could be broken. I mean, just think about that old game of telephone. I mean,
I love it.
When it got to the end of the line, you didn't know what they were talking about. So that's kind of the organization. And then we also work with professional organizations, not unlike the African American Chamber, where we'll go in and say, look, you're an organization that has a membership that you serve, and you want to be able to provide your membership with opportunities, whether they're an individual, whether they're a company, whether they work in a government agency, to be able to give them access to programming, which is a value-added benefit to your membership. So between individuals, organizations, whether they be companies, government agencies, and professional organizations, kind of are our 3 target markets.
So are there any prerequisites, and or can you walk us through the process if someone's interested in trying to enroll? What does that look like?
We have no educational requirements. There's a lot of individuals out there, they call them SCNDs, some college, no degree, that, are very competent individuals, and, traditional education wasn't for them.
Gotcha.
And then there are, of course, people who have master's degrees. For example, if I got a master's in marketing 20 years ago, now I want to get into digital marketing, and I want a job, let me go out and take a short duration course. I don't need another master's degree. Let me take a short duration course. So people will call us up, and our learning consultants will talk to an individual, and most of our learners, well, I'd say all of our learners, are mature learners. They're not taking a particular program to get a grade. They're taking a program because they want to get a new skill. And as you know, Woody Allen, I think, said 90% of success in life is showing up. If somebody is going to show up and they're going to put their mind to it, we're going to help them achieve their goal. And as I like to tell people, John, we're not selling certificates. We are providing opportunities for jobs.
So does some of your teaching address soft skills as well?
Yes. Yeah. And, soft skills as a terminology is, up for grabs these days. They're called business skills. They're called, cultural, business cultural. but yeah, you think of soft skills. The soft skills are really the hard skills. If you ever worked in an organization, I mean, when you're dealing with people, it's collaboration, it's negotiating, it's teamwork, it's communications, it's giving presentations, it's talking on the telephone, for crying out loud.
Wow.
These are skills that really need attention, and a lot of companies assume that people come in with these skills.
Understood.
And that's just not the case.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, they always say when you start to assume, you really screw things up, man.
There's another way to have it. I know where you're going to go. I'll cut you off at the
Yes. I mean, you got to leave it alone, man. If you don't know, ask questions. If you want to know, ask questions, right?
That's right.
So AI in the workplace, disruptor, something that should be embraced and accommodated and welcome. Talk to us.
The train has left the station. It's meeting with some resistance, but those who resist will be steamrolled over.
Gotcha.
AI is going to impact, I'm not going to say every job, because that would sound like too much of, drank too much Kool-Aid. But it's going to be impacting many, many jobs, many, many industries, and many, many stages of people's career.
Wow.
One of the things as we started looking into this was, and as a matter of fact, we're kicking off a boot camp tomorrow with SheTech. We're doing that in combination with SheTech, which is a not-for-profit that looks to support women in technology. But we've taken one of these Coursera courses that I mentioned to you.
Yes.
And we're putting what I'm calling a service wrapper around that, where we are going to go through the curriculum from Coursera, but we're also going to have individuals who are going to teach different modules in what you said there before, John, soft skills. We're going to help people think about how to write their resume. We're going to have some mock interviews. But AI is going to impact. There is no AI career path. Usually our certificates lead to a career path. AI is pervasive. AI will be embedded in everything.
Wow.
So it's like I mentioned, I learned and got a good foundation in technology in my very first job, and I've carried it through. That's the same thing with AI. You've got to get a foundation in it. And whether you're in marketing, this point in your career, business development at another point in your career, in corporate governance at another point in your career, that's a skill that you have to have. It's a skill. It's not a job.
Yeah. Don't resist change. Figure out how to ride the wave.
Yep. The only thing constant in life is change.
So we got a minute left. Can you share with us what is a typical day like for you, and how can folks, get in touch with you to get more information? 1 minute.
Okay. Well, we have a website. It's execed.rutgers.edu or professional.rutgers.edu. You can go and see what our portfolio looks like. I spend my day talking to people who are looking to upskill their workforce or change into a new career. I work with my colleagues in the business school, so I know that I've got the most up-to-date academic frameworks to build upon. I continually poll my network to see what the word on the street is in terms of what skills are needed. Work with my friends at the Economic Development Authority, a number of professional organizations, including the African American Chamber, New Jersey Business Industry Association, Chamber of Commerce, but execed.rutgers.edu. You'll find everything, and my name again is Peter McAliney, and you can reach out to me directly, 856-225-6685.
Well, Peter, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. And
yes,
thank you all for tuning in to the Empowerment Hour. Have a good one.
This program has African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey.